In this video, I'm attempting the impossible. I'm going to attempt to build this, the ultimate indoor rabbit hutch for my wife and daughter's future pet bunny. Hi everyone, Nick Paicos here with the Paicos Aesthetic Woodshop. As the woodworker in the family, I was voluntold to design and build a custom rabbit hutch from scratch. Even though I've never owned a rabbit and have no clue what one even needs, but I wasn't about to let my family down. So I hit the shop, fired up the tools, and got to work creating something functional, cozy, and full of love.
Aww.
The stakes are big. Pull this off and I get tons of brownie points with my wife and earn the title of Super Dad versus failing miserably and sleeping on the couch for a week. The first thing I need to do is put together some notes on features the hutch is going to need, and since I don't know anything about rabbits, it's time to launch Google. The main things I discovered are 1, ample space. I need to ensure that I have an area at least 4 feet by 4 feet so the rabbit has plenty of room to run around, play, and get exercise. 2, hiding places. Rabbits like places they can go to feel safe. 3, access to the hutch. I need to ensure to include in the design an easy way to access the hutch for cleaning. And 4, include an area for the litter box. If I can design a space that takes these things into account, I will have a one-way ticket to Super Dadville. If you've seen any of my videos before, you know that I'm a big component of SketchUp for design work. It lets me lay out a build so I can hopefully make all my mistakes here and not when I'm actually building the project. It also lets me lay out the pieces and see the dimensions, so I can refer back to this after I've gathered my materials and use it as a guide to cut all of my components. I know my daughter loves pink. Her entire room is pink, so I want to paint this project white and pink. I'm using pine 2x6s and Douglas fir 4x4s for the lumber. Then I need to get some hog pen wire, some hinges for the mini house roof and access door in the front, and a window so the rabbit can have a sunny spot inside to sit and read a book. The last thing I need is about 20 feet of baseboard, and then I'm good to go. Smells like a new project. I love getting started on a new project. If you're a fellow woodworker, you can relate that this is the time when you're full of hope, excitement, and promise. You've poured time and energy into designing a project, and it should theoretically work, right? Then it comes time to actually dig into the project, and you get to see your nice, neat plan fall apart in front of your eyes and turn to shit. Honestly, I don't think I've ever worked on a project that went smoothly from start to finish, and this project is no exception. More on that later. The first thing I'm going to do is take the rounded edge off of these pine 2x6 boards. No particular reason other than I don't want there to be rounded edge on only one side, and I don't feel like adding the rounded edges on the other side. Once I do that, I cut 13 floorboards to 3 3/8 inches thick, and my last one at 2 3/8 inches thick, so they fit in nice and snug. Then I get to work on cutting the cross supports that these floorboards are going to sit in. Nothing fancy here. These boards are cut to length at 4 feet and 5 feet 9 inches to give me the final dimensions I want, and then a 3/4 inch by 1.5 inch rabbet is added that the boards can rest on. Last step is adding a 45-degree miter on the ends, because every piece that is not even going to be seen needs mitered ends, right? Last step before I start assembling the base is to cut materials for my 4 corner posts. I'm using the 4x4 Douglas fir beams, which are cut to 3x3, and then a 1.5 by 1.5 inch rabbet is added to those. If you have a miter saw in your shop, I recommend that you get a laser and set up some kind of stop block for repetitive cuts. These 2 add-ons are cheap. I made my own stop block, and the laser was only $20, and they make a huge impact on the accuracy of my cuts, the speed of my workflow, and my ability to easily make repeat cuts. Look into them. You won't regret it. Word to the wise, by the way. If you leave a camera unattended while you move supplies up to the assembly area, and you have children in the house, shenanigans will most likely ensue. I'm adding a 1.5 inch block to the bottom of these corner posts so that my supports for the floor will sit nicely 1.5 inches off the floor. The mitered ends fit in nicely, and then I just need to add my floorboards. Insert first hiccup in the project. While attempting to install the last few floorboards, I had to walk on the floor and I didn't think about my weight on these floorboards. I could hear the floor creaking as I walked on it.
Bed is falling through the floor.
So I'm going to have to add in some more supports. No problem. I know the floorboards sit at 1.5 inch height and are 4 feet across. So first, I marked 2 lines across the existing floorboards, cutting them into thirds. I can use this as a guide. Then I cut up 2 strips at 1.5 by 48 inches, slide them into place under the floor, and then use the guides to throw in some screws. Crisis 1 averted. Phew. Wrapping up day 1 events, I encountered crisis number 2. When I first designed this, I put a 1/4 inch deep and wide dado in all the cross supports that serve as the frame to attach my wire mesh fencing to. But I didn't consider the fact that I'm going to have to staple the wire mesh to the frame, and if I do a 1/4 inch dado, there's no way I'm going to be able to get a staple gun in that space. So I'm going to have to sleep on it and come up with a new plan. Day number 2. What I came up with after thinking about this fencing problem for far too long overnight was to turn the dado into a rabbet with the open side facing the interior of the pen. That way I have a nice lip to secure the fencing to. I damn near broke my brain trying to find a way to conceal the staples on the interior.
No, you just broke my brain a little bit.
But at the end of the day, I decided this was a rabbit pen and not the Mona Lisa. So with the new plan, I got to work making and installing all of the cross support pieces, and thankfully, no problems while doing so. I need to put in a little gate because the hutch is going in the back corner and we need a way to get to it other than jumping over the fence. So I'm going to create a square frame with rabbets for the wire mesh fencing again and use my Fez tool domino to create some tenons to join it together. After that, I installed some baseboard to cover up the subfloor. Then I sanded down the whole thing and consulted the Rabbit Whisperer to see how she wanted the pen painted. 2 coats of Valspar's mid-grade paint and semi-gloss gave me good coverage. Last thing up is to install the wire mesh fencing, and then I can get started on the rabbit's actual hutch. The plan for the hutch is to use my CNC machine to cut out the plywood parts I need. After I've transferred over the design to my CNC software, I can fire up the CNC machine and let it do its thing while I work on cutting out some of the trim. Now that I have the panels all cut for the hutch, I can get to work on the legs and cross supports. I need 4 legs, 2 at 31 and 5/8 and 2 at 28 and 7/8, and 4 cross supports, 2 at 26.5 and 2 at 16 and 5/8. All these pieces are going to be 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. The legs are going to have an 8.7 degree angled cut at the top to support the roof of the rabbit hutch, and the cross supports for the bottom panel are going to have dados cut into them. I'm going to use my Fez tool domino again to put in tenons to secure the legs to the cross support pieces. To cut the dados into the cross supports, I'm going to use a dado stack on the table saw. Installing the dado stack on the table saw is admittedly not my favorite thing to do in the shop, but it's become my go-to method for adding dados when not using the CNC machine. I can quickly change out the blades and then set them to cut at a 1/4 inch depth to pang out these cuts. Now it's time for the glue up and assembly, and since this is such an epic pain in the butt, I called in reinforcements. With the main parts being assembled, I can add some details. I picked up some windows off of Amazon for doll houses. I'll throw some of those in. Then add the hinges to the roof panel and install the trim. Last, I'm going to quickly throw together 2 ramps so the rabbit can get in and out of his hutch hideout. After she's all assembled and sanded down, we can move her up to its final resting spot in the pen. Since my wife is such an awesome teammate, she helped me out by doing the painting on the hutch, which came out fantastical. Quinn, what are we going to do right now?
Get a bunny.
Cute. Hi. Hello, me.